Welcome to Level Up with Winnie Sun.
Thank you so much for tuning in today. It is wonderful to have you with me as we go into the weekend. Happy Friday to you. Wherever you're joining from, let me know actually if you don't mind jumping into comments. I'm going to be following you very closely. I want to know where you're joining me from. If you're joining us on a replay, definitely also send me a post, a tweet. Love to hear from you as well. And as you know, now we're also sharing on Modern Mom. Now let's talk about how the market closed first and foremost, because the market closed kind of I would say, as my kids would say, kind of a blah day on the market. The Dow closed up 64 points, but the Nasdaq closed up 12 and the S&P also up 3. You know what? 3 positives. We'll certainly take it as we go into the weekend. Now, some of you may know, but tomorrow is May 29th, which is also National College Savings Day. Now, May 29th is National College Savings Day, which is a very important day when it comes to talking about planning for our higher education, where we're going to go to college, where our kids are going to be going to college, and also a very important discussion of how we're able to make ends meet, how we're going to be able to pay for college. So one thing I want to talk about today is the ABCs of 529 plans. I've had a lot of questions come in. We're definitely getting to your questions later in the show, but let's talk a little bit about how these 529 savings plans work. Now, 529 plans are tax advantage education savings vehicles, and actually they're one of the most popular ways to save for kids' education now. And as you know, I started very early with my kids. In fact, I started my first college savings for my children even before they were born. So really, really important. So what is a 529 college savings plan? Now, it's actually a college savings plan is like a retirement plan for education, though. The retirement plan features of it being tax sheltered is one of the big points and benefits of these sort of college savings plans. The money grows in your account free of federal income tax, and the money needs to be used for qualified higher education expenses. This could be things like books, supplies that are needed for school, tuition, room and board, and things like that. What it doesn't include is things such as transportation. So if your child needs to travel to get to college, unfortunately, that cost isn't qualified. However, in addition to up to $10,000 a year of your money in a 529 can now also be used for tuition for K through 12 if your child needs it for that purpose as well. The money used for a lot of purposes, withdrawals are subject to income taxes and a 10% penalty if the money isn't being used for college. So if it's used for college, definitely federal tax free. If it isn't used for college, a 10% penalty on the earnings, and of course, it's subject to income taxes. Now, what about financial aid? Is it going to hurt your chances of getting financial aid? Now, here's what you want to know. 529 plans, when they're owned by a parent or even the dependent student themselves, will receive favorable tax treatment and favorable treatment on the free application for federal student aid, which is what we call the FAFSA form. This is where you'll want to make sure you apply for the FAFSA, because this will help you not only apply for financial aid, but this is also many ways this information is used for things such as scholarships as well. But 529 is owned by anyone else. This is important, including a grandparent, could actually affect a student's eligibility for need-based federal financial aid. So if you feel like your child might qualify for financial aid, make sure that the 529 is owned only by you, the parent, or you, the student. Now, there's another thing that's new, and that's the Secure Act, which was signed into law December of 2019. Now, this helps expand the 529 plan coverage, which allows for some students to be able to use this to pay back portions of their student loan. So student loan repayment. Previously, student debt wasn't actually considered a qualified educational expense, and it wasn't considered something that was eligible for a tax-free withdrawal. But thanks to the new rules, plan holders can now withdraw a lifetime maximum of $10,000 from the 529 accounts. federally tax-free, and this can go to help pay off any qualified education loans that you might have. Now, this doesn't apply, unfortunately, to those who are not beneficiaries of the college savings plan. So this only applies to the beneficiary themselves. So any siblings or family members, you know, actually, I apologize. This not only does apply for the beneficiaries, but it also does apply for the siblings as well. Siblings can also withdraw $10,000 each. My apologies for that. So the other pros of the 529s, if the original beneficiary doesn't use the money for education, you can certainly change the beneficiaries within a fairly wide list of family members, including yourself. This is really important. So this is almost like a family education fund. For example, if you start one for yourself or your oldest child, for example, and you don't need to use all that money, you can simply transfer it to another member of your family or loved one. And you can do this generally at least once a year. Some plans allow for more than that, but generally once a year you can change the beneficiaries. Now, there are also another big benefit is there are no income or age limits to a college savings plan. And if you're fortunate enough to have wealthy family members, well, they can actually even front load the 529 by contributing 5 years of gift tax maximum at one time. So currently, the gift tax is at $15,000, which means this year, if you wanted to front load your college savings plan, you can actually front load that up to $75,000 right now. So contributions, earnings do grow federal tax free, and depending on what state you are, you could even have state benefits as well. Now, there are a lot of regulations on how you can spend that money. As you know, it has to be a qualified education expense, but a very, very flexible and a really smart way to save for future education costs. The only negative is if you don't use that money, right, there could be a 10% penalty if you make withdrawals and also income taxes as well on the gains portion. But that's to be expected. I always tell parents, if you think that you might have a child attending college, the best thing that you can do is to start planning early. All right, let's segue to some of your questions. I've been looking forward to seeing them all week, and I know these questions actually have to do with National College Savings Planning Day, which is tomorrow. So let's see your first question. Okay. Winnie, we just had a baby in the middle of the pandemic. Wow. I know. I've actually had a lot of my friends have a baby in the middle of the pandemic. We couldn't be happier and want to send him on the right path. Both my husband and I want to save for him. Where do you suggest we start? Okay, so it's actually a great question. And I think that's also why we are putting it right into our important day today, which is to plan for college savings. Now, I will tell you, before my oldest son was born, some 12 plus years ago, I made sure to start saving for him even before he was born. So there's definitely not a too late or too early time to start. So what I would say is this. I mean, you can definitely open up a simple savings account and just sock away money there. You can even just keep the money in a piggy bank. But what I love to do, and I would suggest you look at, is consider a college savings plan. Now, these are state-sponsored plans. They tend to be very flexible. And depending on what state you live in, you might even not only get the federal tax benefit, you could potentially get a state tax benefit as well. Now, since you said that your child was born this year, now for him to go to a public university, you're probably talking about $250,000 that he's going to need to be able to provide for that undergraduate degree. Now, if it's a private school, we're talking almost double, so close to $500,000. So the earlier you can start, the better. And so I would say this is an area where I would suggest you look into. Now, where do you go for this, right? I would actually suggest that you go to sungroupwp.com, which is our financial planning arm here that can give you some more information on that. Or you can just, look and do some research on college savings plans. There's a lot of information available. But whatever you do, don't just necessarily go with the first choice. Do your due diligence. There are differences in plans, differences in the way that they invest, and even how much you can contribute to each plan. So definitely take a look. That's where I would start. And I would encourage, if you're getting gifts from family members and loved ones, monetary gifts, considering receiving those funds and then depositing them yourself, so that, again, the ownership of the account stays within your name. Okay, so thank you so much, and great question, and congratulations again. I'm so happy for you. You don't have to share a picture of the baby next time. All right, next question. Let's see what we've got. Okay, Winnie, are the education savings plans that we can do through work? Okay, so that's a great question. I love this question because this was back in the early 2000s. I actually was helping many employees at DreamWorks Animation with their stock option plan and giving them guidance. And one of the things I proposed we set up for the company was a corporate 529 plan. So just like you have a 401k plan at work, you can actually, if you own a company, this is really good information for you to know. You can actually set up a corporate 529 plan, a corporate college savings plan that will allow you and your employees to contribute monies towards higher education costs, not only for themselves, but also other family members as well. I actually set one up at another company that we work with, and some of the members actually set them up for their nieces and nephews. It's a beautiful thing. And then the advantage of that too is that there are certain pricing benefits to that on a corporate side. So if you have a company that doesn't offer one of these plans, definitely reach out, maybe set up a call between ourselves as well as the company. I'm happy to walk them through and tell them about these different plans. Really, really great. And actually, I would love to see more companies start to offer these sort of plans. So great question. Thanks so much for asking. All right, next question. Let's see what we've got. All right. What's the best way to talk about college savings and just money in general with my kids? Okay. Love this question. Thank you so much for asking. I'm so glad because I get this question actually quite frequently. It seems like every month we get this question asked back again. I think about like how I talk to my kids about money. I think about how I was taught about money as a kid, and just think about how you were taught about money as a kid. Probably somewhat similar to me in that, my parents didn't have a lot of guidance, and so they gave the value that they could based on the knowledge that they had and experiences that they had. And I thought, well, as a financial professional of so many years, right? I've been a financial professional for 20 plus years, and knowing what I know and having children, I can help. So I actually teamed up with my friends at LinkedIn Learning and created a course on telling you just how to do that. So for those of you who are familiar with LinkedIn, definitely check that out. And I'm really glad you asked that question, because in that course, I do talk about how you talk to your kids about money, how to build a really great foundation, how to make sure that they have the financial literacy, and most importantly, the confidence to make smart financial money decisions, spending, saving, giving decisions at a very young age. Now, in terms of college savings, I think that you should talk to them about college savings as soon as possible. Now, usually they don't quite understand, but around age 3 is where they start to get more curious, and you can start to, you may not be able to teach them everything that you want to teach them, but you can show them, and they're watching you and seeing how you treat money, financial decisions, how you talk about paying bills with your partner and whatnot. So there's a lot of things that can be taught even when you're really not thinking about teaching. So definitely check out the course. Let me know what you think as always. And there's even a program now where you can actually submit questions and comments to the course and even download a certificate, which is really exciting. So LinkedIn Learning, if you haven't checked it out, definitely check it out. I'm a big fan of LinkedIn Learning. Not only do I teach courses on the program, but I actually take some of their courses and actually are having some of the courses shown to my kids for summer break this year too. So a great tip for those of you who are parents. All right, let's see. I believe this is our second to last question. Okay, one more question. Let's see what we've got. All right, Winnie, my parents bought EE bonds a long time ago when I was just born. They now want to do the same for my children. Is this a good idea, or is this something better now? Okay, great question. So EE bonds, many of you know from back in the day, they were sold by the government. You can spend a smaller amount to buy one of these bonds, and if you hold them long enough, they would mature to a better value. I would say, I really do embrace the whole college savings plan. This is an area that I think you should have a conversation with your parents, their grandparents, about really how these work. Because I will say that as someone who financially struggled during college, because my parents weren't able to provide for my college expenses, having that college savings account ready for you as you go to college is so powerful. I've seen many of my clients and their children go through this process of being able to just pull monies that they've saved all these years. It's a really beautiful thing. So I would suggest, if you're having this conversation with your parents, talk about the college savings plan, maybe enlist the help of a financial professional and look at it very carefully. I call the college savings plan in many ways like the Roth IRA of college savings. It's a beautiful thing because of the federal tax benefit if it's used for higher education. Great question. Let's see. What do we have next? Thank you so much for asking that question, by the way. Winnie, what if my child doesn't go to college? Will she still be able to use the money, or will we? What are the penalties? Okay, great question. Now, if you were watching earlier, then you probably know the answer to this. But here's the thing. If you have a college savings plan and you don't use it for college, well, the good news is it can be used for other things, but the withdrawals that you take for things that are not like higher education approved expenses, then it would be the withdrawals, the profit, the gain on the monies that you pull out will be subject to income on the gains as well as a 10% penalty. Now, that being said, here's the good news. You can continue to let this grow because there's no age limitation on a college savings plan. You could just continue to let it grow, and you could actually pass it along to your grandkids in the future or other family members. And if you do use it for something besides college, there is a penalty. But just think about all those years of tax deferred growth that you've had during that time. And the money's been out of your estate too, because it's been gifted to your children. So I would say, I've heard this discussion quite a few times from other parents saying, maybe, what if my child doesn't go to college? Am I completely at loss? No, you're not. In addition, if you're the owner of the account and you're the parent, you still retain control of that money. So you could use that money later on to pay off your mortgage or, buy yourself a new car. There are options out there. The penalty is there because it's giving you significant tax benefits if the monies are used for higher education, and it is called savings plan. But don't let that defer you from starting and really trying to make a difference in your child's future education costs. Okay. So thank you so much for that question. I really appreciate it because a lot of people ask that question each and every year. Well, thank you so much, my friends. Thank you so much. Happy Friday to you. I really appreciate you for watching, supporting our program today. Take a moment, if you can, to share this program all over your social media. That would really help us. And as a reminder, you can find full episodes of Level Up with Winnie Sun on NASDAQ, Amazon Fire, and Roku. Thank you so much. I see Maureen, and thank you so much, Joshua and CrossX Fighter and all my friends. Thank you so much. I hope you have and I see Alina too. I missed you, my friend. Thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in. Be well. I can't wait to see you again on Tuesday. Happy 3-day and happy Memorial Day weekend to all of you. And thank you so much for all our friends and Americans who have served our country. We think of you and we appreciate you. Take care now.